Hey, pura vida, gente. Estamos aquí en uno de los mejores podcasts que vamos a tener, porque hoy tenemos un sueño hecho realidad para todos los que vivimos aquí en Costa Rica. Hay un sueño que todos teníamos, y es ver uno de los mejores shows de metal, que es Mastodon y Gojira. Ojo. Yeah. Y hoy tenemos la gran oportunidad de entrevistar a uno de los mejores bateristas del mundo y una de las mejores voces del metal, porque no solamente es un excelente baterista, sino que también es un increíble cantante. Así es que tenemos con nosotros a Brann, baterista de Mastodon.
We are so happy to have you. Not only are you one of the most established badass drummers on the planet, but you got some pipes. So you are a killer. You are awesome. We are super happy to have you with us today, Bron. Thank you so much. And all of Costa Rica has been on fire upon hearing that Mastodon and Gojira are coming to town now on November 25th. So thank you so much for giving us this time.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Amazing.
Yeah. Buenísimo. Recuerden, gente, 25 de noviembre, Parque Viva, y todo esto es gracias a Move Concerts. Y bueno, ahora sí, vamos con lo más importante. Vamos a empezar con las preguntitas. Cuando hablamos de música metal, todos siempre vemos que todos tenemos una influencia siempre de algún artista muy importante, y hemos visto que uno de los artistas que más han influido en ti, en tu carrera, ha sido Phil Collins. Así que cuéntanos un poquito de qué fue esa primera experiencia de Phil Collins.
All right, so even though we host a metal show, Nelson and I adore all types of music. So in doing our research, we saw that one of your biggest influences is Phil Collins, who happens to be no guess my favorite artist of all time. So can we talk about how amazing Phil Collins is? Tell us how he's been an influence on you.
Well, I can't really remember a point in my life where Phil Collins wasn't somehow involved, but I think my parents were big Genesis fans, so when I was growing up, there was a steady diet of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and Foxtrot and all those early Genesis records, and then even spilling it over, like early '80s, Genesis started to sort of dominate the radio, and there was a show on TV called Miami Vice, and the song with the big drum fill that now is just like such a major part of the pop culture lexicon in the world, was a new song at that point, and Miami Vice had it going in their show, and that everybody loved that show in the early '80s. But I would say it wasn't really until I was in my later teens when I kind of got familiarized with Genesis and started really discovering the magic of Phil Collins' drum work on those early Genesis records, and the fact that he was drumming and playing at the same time. Just for drummers, a lot of times you are told that you do your job, sit back there, and just focus on the drums, and your musical input is not wanted, and just just play your drums. But it's drummers like Phil Collins and Neil Peart from Rush that kind of give an inspiration to drummers abound, that you don't have to just sit back there. Your ideas are welcome, and if you have them, contribute all that you can and do everything you can within the confines of your own musical project to make the project better, make the songs better. And I think it's players like Phil that give you the ability to sort of speak up and say, hey, this guy does it, and so, yeah, what an incredible voice Phil has, and just a very musical drummer, and just a really wild imagination. You can hear him, you can kind of hear that he doesn't just settle for the first thing that comes to his mind, or, maybe he does, but you can see that there's some time invested in trying to come up with his drum parts. So it sort of influences you to push a little harder to find something more interesting to play, while also not getting in the way of the song, and making sure that the song can still do what it needs to do, but the drums can also be more interesting than just your basic rock beat.
Excelente,
Very
excelente.
cool.
Ajá.
Go ahead, Nelson. Dale.
Que yo me imagino que al ser Phil Collins una de las influencias tan grandes, también dijo, bueno, si Phil Collins toca batería y canta, ¿por qué yo no lo puedo hacer? Porque realmente es un cantante extraordinario, o sea, realmente hace las cosas muy bien. Normalmente los bateristas siempre quieren cantar, pero no lo hacen bien. Es que Brann lo hace increíblemente bien.
So, yes, exactly. That obviously, as with Phil Collins as an influence, it's both a drummer and an awesome singer. Like that's what you do. You have amazing vocals and you're a badass drummer. So we see like a huge parallel there, which is very hard to do. A lot of drummers want to sing, but it doesn't come off as much as they'd like it to be. But you crush it. So we love it.
Thank you very much. It's really hard to do. I highly do not recommend it. Once you start doing it, you can't stop doing it because you did it and you committed it to tape, and now you have to get up there every night and you have to do it. So it's a whole new level of anxiety for me, which is very fun. And then but I will say it's probably made me a healthier human being overall, because when it comes to drumming, I can be sick. It doesn't really matter that much. I don't want to be sick, obviously, but on tour, it's hard to stay, 100% healthy, just because you're shaking the hands of hundreds of people a day, and you're just around a lot of people all the time, and so it really forces you to try to be as healthy as possible. Anything you can do to combat being sick, because there's nothing worse than getting up there and trying to sing through a cold. It's really horrible. Ask any vocalist. You wake up in the morning on the bus and you get the one time tickle in your throat, and a shock of terror goes through your system because you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to sing tonight. Oh God. And if you do try to sing through it, it's going to wreck your vocal cords for the next week and all those things. So yeah. But it's something I can do, and it's something that it helps the band, because basically in Mastodon you have 3 singers that don't want to be singers. It's kind of like, no, you do it. No, you do it. No, I don't want to do it. You do it. You do that part. No, I don't feel like it. Because we did, when we very first started, for about, I don't know, 6 months or so, we had a guy running around on stage with a microphone, yelling and screaming and rolling around on the floor. And then he left the band, but no one knew who we were or what we sounded like, so it didn't really matter. So Troy and Brent just started screaming stuff because we were playing shows in people's basements and things like that. So it didn't really matter. But through the years, we've really tried to work on and develop our vocals. And I think that the fact that we delegate different parts to the 3 or 4 of us, Bill sings some stuff live. So now you got everybody singing in the band. So it's not that big of a lift for any particular member.
Excelente, excelente, qué bueno, porque es la verdad, Mike, qué bueno. Por cierto, a toda la gente que estuvo escuchándonos este lunes pasado en la Dosis por Planet 107.5, pusimos una de las piezas más brutales de Mastodon, que es Blood and Thunder, y fue una completa locura en el show. Todo el mundo estaba como loco pidiendo más canciones de Mastodon, que por cierto también hemos tocado The Mother Load, que es un piezón. Esa es mi canción favorita de todas. Nada más queríamos contarte que aquí en Costa Rica amamos montones Mastodon y que fue un éxito total este lunes pasado en la radio.
So just wanted to reiterate, like, Costa Rica's so ready for Mastodon to come down. We played Blood and Thunder this past Monday. We played the Motherload all the time. Every single time we do, the phones light up, and it's like, oh man, this is awesome. When are they going to come down? So the whole country is super, super ridiculously excited about you guys coming down to play.
Sí.
Oh man, I'm very excited. We're so excited to play there. It's been a long time. I think we came there with Metallica years and years ago. And other than that, I was there for vacation. And what a beautiful, beautiful place. I was in Tortuguero, and I was, just all around Costa Rica. And it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. And we're so down there and play for the beautiful people of Costa Rica. Cannot wait. It's going to be awesome.
Bien. Buenísimo. Una de las preguntas más importantes que a mí me encanta decir es cerrar los ojos y preguntarle al niño a Brann niño, si te acuerdas, ¿cuál fue la primera vez que tú sentiste como niño que la música era lo tuyo y cuál fue ese primer instrumento que te llamó la atención?
So one of the questions that we ask all of our guests is a real true indicator of how music was born with you. Ron, if you can try to think back to when you were a child and perhaps the first time that music fully influenced you, do you remember when there was perhaps a song or a musical moment that inspired you, or maybe what that song was where you were like, wow, I just found this connection to music that kind of like this. So this is kind of what I want to do.
Um, I would say, well, music is such a big part of my life, not only because it just was all around me. My mom was in a band that did like Judas Priest covers and Scorpions covers and Rush and King Crimson and anything you could think of that was popular in the late 70s, early 80s. So they practiced in the basement just about every night. And so then, and my grandparents also played in a band, and then they played at my grandparents' house up in the attic, and then they played out all the time. So we were going to see them, and I was going to see my mom's band when they played out. And I would say that there was, I remember having some moments with Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody back then, where that really kind of stuck with me. And I would say I remember sitting in the back of my mom's car driving to her band practice and hearing Renegade by Styx, and really
Wow.
like feeling that song, like I remember having like it was something about those minor keys or something that, it just really evoked something within me, I could say. So I definitely gravitated more towards the deeper emotional stuff, the more, I would say, yeah, deeply emotional music. There was also, I had that Journey Frontiers record, and I had this little Fisher Price record player that me and my sister used to have in our room that we shared. And I remember sitting there and listening to
Wow.
the song faithfully, like over and over again.
Qué bueno, qué bueno.
Yeah, so I'd say, yeah, Faithfully by Journey or Renegade by Styx. Those songs early in the 80s when I'm pretty young, 5 or 6 years old. I remember those songs being really impactful for me.
Qué bueno, qué bueno. Qué parte más importante. Ahora, brincando ahora un poquito más ahora, ¿qué tan increíble puede ser? Porque es que no es fácil para ningún grupo, y aunque Mastodon es un grupo gigante, es como un sueño hecho realidad, considero yo, el haber ganado en el 2015 un Grammy. Cuéntanos así rapidito cómo fue esa experiencia tan increíble.
How insanely awesome was it to be able to be part of the 2015 Grammys? What was that experience like from, from a musician standpoint where that's kind of, arguably the pinnacle, but it's definitely a big, big deal. What was that experience like for you?
Anytime we've been to the Grammys, it's always a super fun experience. It's like, it's definitely an honor to be nominated, and it's a huge honor to win one. It's almost like, because being a metalhead and playing metal music, you sort of just come with a little bit of low self-esteem, especially in those kind of circles, because you feel a little bit unwanted, you know what
Exactly.
I mean? And like we play a kind of music that's sort of pushed under the rug a little bit, and if it wasn't for a band like Metallica getting so popular, the Metal Grammy wouldn't even be there. So we really have Metallica to thank for, being as popular as they were with And Justice for All. And so, but yeah, just being there, you sort of feel a little bit out of place, but you really want to kind of puff your chest out a little bit, like, we belong here. we've practiced the 10,000 hours in our basements and bedrooms to deserve to walk the same carpet as everyone else that's here. You know what I mean? Even more so, I think that heavy metal itself as a genre, even if it is left out of a lot of the mainstream, that doesn't matter. It's probably one of the healthiest genres of music that there is. That it's just absolutely brimming with extreme talent. You know what I mean? I would put it in the same realm as, say, jazz, when you have some of these players that are claiming heavy metal as their roots. You gotta be just like you can't even believe what some of these players are pulling off, and really inventing new ways to play these instruments. So, but it's a lot of pride when you're there, and you also feel like, I felt like when we won in 2017 or 18, whenever that was, it wasn't a Grammy that was just for one song. It was like a Grammy that like sort of was, for our whole career, for everything that had come before that, up until that, because showing that you can really write your own songs with your friends, play in a basement, and you don't need all this other stuff. You can really just ride around in your van, and that can eventually get you on a stage accepting the same award that Stevie Wonder and others have on their mantle. So I think that's really cool. And it's a really, really great moment for your parents and your grandparents and everybody in your family.
And the fans.
And the fans. Obviously we wouldn't be anywhere without the fans. No one's going to be there. There's no Grammys and no Grammys if people aren't buying your albums, coming to see you play, and enjoying your music. So the fans are really the best.
Excelente, excelente. Brann, muchísimas gracias. Esta es la última pregunta. Sin antes decirte que qué bonito es cuando uno entrevista a un artista tan grande como vos, con tanta exposición, y se ve ese ser humano tan maravilloso que hay detrás de él. La última pregunta es, de entre tantos artistas que has compartido o que has escuchado, ¿hay algún artista en el cual todavía no has podido trabajar que te gustaría trabajar en algún disco con él?
So, Brann, we wanted to say thank you again for being with us. We had one last question for you. We'd love to be able to do a second podcast with you, because we have so many things we want to learn about from you. Is there an artist that comes to mind when you think of, wow, it would be so cool to be able to do a collaboration with this particular artist, that you would say, oh man, that would be amazing?
I think if we ever had, if it ever came to be, it won't, but if it ever came to be that we were able to collaborate with, say, Peter Gabriel, I would probably
wow.
I would lose my mind. And I would also try really hard to make it a really cool, special thing. So Peter, if you're listening,
bien, vamos a hacerlo llegar a Peter.
Come on, man.
You never know.
Lo vamos a etiquetar.
We're going to tag him on everything, 100%. So you never know, Brann. You never know.
I'll be phone call. Be right by the phone.
Buenísimo. Brann, de verdad, muchas gracias. Te esperamos aquí en Costa Rica este 25 de noviembre, gracias a Move Concert en Parque Viva. De verdad, estamos ansiosos porque ya llegue ese día y poder brincar todos juntos con ustedes. Gracias por darnos la oportunidad de vivir la vida increíblemente feliz escuchándolos a ustedes. De verdad, muchas gracias.
Brann, we're so grateful to have this time with you. The entire country is ready. We are so ready to keep pushing Mastodon, and for this awesome show that you guys are going to be doing with Gojira on November 25th at Parque Viva, courtesy of Move Concerts. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Yeah, baby. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, us and Gojira, we've done it now a couple times here in the States, and we've done it in Europe. And so, man, I can't wait for you guys to see the show. It's really amazing, and we're really excited for the fans down there. We can't wait.
Awesome.
Perfecto. Awesome.